Ay. Otra vez. Come here. Let me tell you something. I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, those precious memories. A city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. Yeah. She remembers me.
Welcome to the Tampa Natives Show. Stay tuned now for the fastest 60 minutes in cable broadcast history. Live from the studios at TBCN, the home of the Tampa Natives Show. Join your hosts, Mario Nunez, the 15-minute girl, and Steve Canella, as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez, the 15-minute girl, and Steve Canella.
She remembers me.
Hi, Tampa Native Show fans. Welcome back to this, your Thursday night edition, 7 p.m. edition of the Tampa Native Show, the only show anywhere where you can tune in and get all the information that you need about Tampa history. My name is Mario Nunez, and as always, I'm seated alongside my broadcast partner,
Sally Nunez,
our 15-minute girl, and right to her left,
Steve Canella,
a.k.a. Tampa Steve. And tonight we've got a show of all shows for you. We want to make sure that you're hard by your phone and ready to call in, because tonight we've got two of the co-founding members of WMNF Community Radio. And for those of us that have grown up here in Tampa and appreciate what it is that they do over there at 88.5, tonight we're going to hear the stories of the very earliest days, those humble beginnings. We've got Mr. Cam Dilley and Mr. Rob Lorei in studio with us tonight. So get ready to call in. We're going to be talking to them in just a few minutes. But as we always do, guys, let's talk about what we did between then and now. Steve, I'm going to start with you. I've got a whole list of things, but you've got an email that we want to go to first and foremost. We got it last week at the end of the show.
Well, this is amazing. We had the article, which you're going to talk about in a second.
Don't
I don't
steal
want
my
to spoil
thunder,
it.
Steve. You don't.
I know.
But you have to expose it a little bit, because that's the motivation for the email that you got. Go ahead.
But received an email from a gentleman named Steve Bennett. He saw the article, said article. Exactly, and emailed us and said, hey, by the way, where can I get a shirt? He sent in a little donation for us as well, which is fantastic.
It is.
Helps us keep us going, basically. Absolutely. But anyway, I talked to him today on the phone, and I found out that he was class of 75 Lato.
Okay.
He went to Pierce. I found out he also went to St. Lawrence Elementary, where I did.
Okay.
He was class of 75, so I was about 3 years, behind him. But he was there from 4th grade all the way to 8th grade, then Pierce, and then Lato. After that, he went into the Army. But he's the president of it's Bolter and Carr Investigations Incorporated.
Okay.
But we talked a little bit today about one favorite place that you remember, I'm sure you all remember, is Dog and Suds.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we went on about that for like 5 minutes. We talked about how you pull up and that you roll your window down halfway. The tray, they come out with a tray. They had a little speaker there, which kind of reminded me like of the 20th Century Drive-In.
Of course.
And just share some wonderful memories today. But we're gaining new viewers all the time. This is a perfect example.
Steve Bennett. And
welcome, Steve Bennett.
Thank you, Steve Bennett, for sending in that donation.
That's right.
Steve, if you're going to send that shirt to him?
Well, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of
You're going to meet him for a café con leche?
I'm going to meet him.
Oh, that's even better, man.
Make
sure, Steve, that when you do meet Steve and Steve get together, make sure Steve buys. Okay, I'm going to give him permission to go ahead and pick up the tab on that café con leche.
And he's watching tonight.
Listen, let me just say for the record, and I've got it here in my notes, our city, Tampa, a city that we're so fond of, and that we share a common bond with all of our Tampa natives. Far and wide, really from Lakeland to St. Petersburg, Dade City to Sarasota, Tampa has always been at the center of all of this. We also are very grateful for an association that a lot of you know we have with the University of South Florida. Andy Hughes was very instrumental in helping us make that contact. All of these shows that we do each and every week with love and affection are being housed on the USF server, Stevie, into perpetuity, man. 50, 60 years from now.
Or longer.
When we're not here anymore and somebody wants to find out what was Tampa like in those early days, you can find out because that's always going to be there. Thank you, USF. A quick review of our last broadcast. You know, we had a very active show last week. Countless calls because everybody is still talking about it even today because they still haven't found Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
That's true.
What a mystery. Thank you again, one and all, for those that called last week. We heard you loud and clear, and apparently we still have more to talk about. That still has been a mystery unsolved. What did we do Saturday? Darling, Saturday morning we met with the volunteers of WMNF and Miss Joellen Schilke. And where did we go?
We did. We went to Fort DeSoto Park.
Yes, we did.
And I carried the big giant plastic garbage bag, and my husband had a little picker-upper thing, and we picked up trash all over the place.
It was fun.
It was so much fun.
We did our
It really
community
was.
service.
And it was a beautiful day.
We hadn't been out to Fort DeSoto Park in some time.
Yes.
What a beautiful place.
Yeah, it really is.
What a beautiful
I want to go
place.
back.
So kudos to all
Yes.
those that showed up and gave their
Yeah.
time, and it was a pleasure doing and meeting those nice people.
And it was fun.
From Tampa
could
Bay
recommend
Watch.
that
I like to say that,
anytime.
Stevie. Tampa Bay Watch. Because
Yeah.
it's sort of
That sounds
like the Bay Watch, you know,
Right.
but
Like
the show.
with the Tampa in front of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Tampa Bay
Yes.
Watch. Also, Sunday morning, we woke up Sunday morning, there was a wonderful article in the Tampa Bay Times written by Philip Morgan. Philip, who came into the studio and kind of experienced all of this with us and did a great job. I brought it in with me here tonight. It's still available on tbt.com. If you haven't seen it, and I can't imagine because those of our friends that are on Facebook with us have all been, you know, inundated. I think I copied it on every page.
You know what? I went.
I sent
Sunday,
that link everywhere, Steve.
When it came out Sunday, I went to the grocery store and I picked up 10 newspapers, and they're already thick anyway because it's Sunday paper, right?
Attaboy.
And I put them all on the conveyor belt, and the cashier looked at me like,
What's the matter with you?
"What's going on?" I said, "Well, I got a lot of reading to catch up on," and it was funny.
Great. Well, hang on to those because
I got a few for you as well. So.
Sunday afternoon, I was on the air with Franco Silva, Latino 54. We talked a little bit about the Cuban Sandwich Festival that's coming up, also the Gasparilla International Film Festival that is taking place currently. And we talked a little bit more about Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. That was great. Monday was a stormy St. Patty's Day, the wearing of the green, all those. You know, everybody's Irish for a day on St. Patrick's Day. No exception for us, darling, wearing the green.
Magically delicious.
Tuesday morning. Woke up to the heartbreaking news, and I promised myself I wouldn't get too melancholy tonight. We lost one of our brothers, one of Tampa's favorite sons, legendary musician and all-around great guy, Joe Lala, finally succumbed to his illness at the age of 66. Joe was a Tampa treasure, and if you know a little bit about Joe, I think that it's safe to say that his resume extensive. Joe played with everybody, all the greats. And the thing that made Joe special, I think, more than anything else, was he never lost his Ybor City roots. And I think that it's a shame for those of us here that do this show each and every week with so much love and affection. We never got a chance to get Joe on the show with us. So rest in peace, our brother. We're going to do a show in memoriam soon enough, and we're going to get some of his friends to come in and talk about him and his life. This one really hit us hard. That was Tuesday morning. Finally, Wednesday, just yesterday, I have to talk about this because if not, they'll never allow us back. Yesterday, the 15-minute girl and I had the opportunity to spend a lunch, 3 hours, that felt more like 25 minutes because it was really action-packed, with Las Damas del Centro Asturiano. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is the Women's Auxiliary Club from Centro Asturiano. We went and we played bingo with them.
We did.
Okay, the bingo was an experience unto itself, but even
Totally
more
new
so,
bingo for me.
This is professional bingo. This is not amateur night at the bingo game, okay? This is, you bring your inky stampy thing, and you
better know what you're doing because it goes fast.
We met some wonderful ladies, and I want to read the names of the ladies that were gracious enough to invite us over to their table. We got there about 5 minutes late. 260 women and some men showed up for this.
And the tables were all full.
Tremendous fundraising effort for El Centro Asturiano. 260 women showed up. And let me read the names of the ladies at our table because I promised that I would. Alicia Rivero, Maria Elena Marcet, Norma Martino, Sharon Anello, Eileen Popello, and Rose Marie Muniz. Talk about Tampa names. Talk about Tampa natives. They were all there. Wonderful, wonderful ladies. They showed us how to play the game, of course.
They did.
They were gracious, and we promised them that we would come back and see them again next month. The third Wednesday of every month, Centro Asturiano. What a repository for stories. What a place to go and hear the early stories. I can't tell you how many women came up to me and said, you know, I've been coming to this building since I was 3 years old. My mother and father used to bring me here when I was a little girl. And these are women now that are in their 80s. amazing, amazing Tampa lineage, Tampa connections.
They were all adorable.
I have to, and dressed to the nines.
They were,
And I have to mention as well, one lady in particular who came to me, her name was Josie Gonzalez Nabti. And she came to me and she stood in front of me and she waited her turn to talk to me like I was a big thing. And she said, Mario, you don't know me. She said, Mario, you don't know me, but I know you. And I've been watching your show. I used to watch your show every week from Abu Dhabi. And I looked at her, and she must have thought I was crazy. And the first thing came to my mind was, well, Josie, what were you doing in Abu Dhabi? For crying out loud. But secondarily, I came to realize just the kind of range that the Tampa Natives Show does have. And just the kind of passion those of us that are from this area that share our rich history want to connect to that. And she watched this every week. She's back home now. She's back here in Tampa. But Josie, thank you so much for coming up and letting me know that. We'll be back next month.
We're going back.
Stevie.
I've got to go.
People are watching.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like that famous line. It's no. Listen, it's like that. It's like that famous line from Field of Dreams, Stevie. You know when
build it and they will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I said.
When James
exactly
Earl
what
Jones
I told
sat
him.
there on the bleachers and he told him, "People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
They will.
We've built it, Stevie, and here they are, all the way from Abu Dhabi.
It's evident.
So." They did mention one thing to me. They shouted out a name to me. When I was making a presentation, they shouted out a name to me. They said, do you know a man named, and this is how they spoke to me, Steve. Do you know, we want to find out whatever happened to Pepe Lubabu. And I thought they were joking with me. And I had the mic in my hand. I turned around and I said, yeah, Pepe Lubabu. They're calling me Pepe Lubabu. Apparently, there's a gentleman who lived in Ybor City.
That was his name?
Yeah.
Whose name was Pepe Lubabu. And they wanted to find out what happened. It's one of their buddies, and they want to find out what happened to him. So if anybody out there watching us tonight knows where Pepe Lubabu is, who he was, what he did, please let us know. Our email address is goodtimes@tampanativeshow.com. Goodtimes@tampanativeshow.com. Baby, why is it good times?
Because that's what we have here.
All right.
Good times.
All right. All right. How did I do?
You did
11
good.
minutes.
We did it.
11 minutes, and I got it all, including dropping the name of Pepe Lubabu. How about that one? Okay. That building, by the way, Centro Estudiano, celebrates 100 years this year in existence. 1914, right there on the corner of Nebraska and Palm. If you've not been to that building in a while, get over there. It's amazing what they've been able to do, what they've been able to preserve. All that marble, it's beautiful. It's like the Italian club, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, you're ensconced in the Italian
grand
club. You're there all the time. So, Judy Blanco, she does a great job calling out the numbers. 75. She says it 3 times because, let's face it, the median age in that room is about 75. So, 73. Really good stuff.
That's
okay,
nice.
thank you, ladies, for being so generous.
It's an experience, that's for sure.
And saving the day because we really didn't have a place to sit, did we, darling?
No, and Rose stuck her hand up and she said, hey, over here. We're looking around for us. And so she guided us.
The room was packed.
It really was.
We walked in at the morning started at 11 o'clock. We walked in at 11:03. And
we
thought
had
we would
lunch,
be
too.
no
They
problem.
served
We'd find a
lunch.
seat. They were ready to go.
You know, we have
the
a photo
balls
of
were
that.
in the hopper, and they were spinning
do?
those balls around.
We have a picture of that.
Can we show it?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Oh, please, by all
Becky,
means.
let's
I didn't
do
realize
that.
we had that picture,
Yeah, we do.
Stevie.
It's called bingo. Let's bring that up.
Call
real
that
quick.
picture up, and then we're going to go right to our guests because our guests are sitting
There
here
it is.
laughing and waiting
There
to
they
get into the
are.
conversation, and they got a lot to say. We
There's
got to bring them in.
Rose.
Okay, let's go. Alicia up in the top left-hand corner. Okay, I got my names right here. That's Maria Elena Marcet next to her. Next to her is Sally, of course. I got my Tampa Native shirt on, and next to me is Eileen Pupello. Down at the bottom, seated left to right,
That's Rose.
is Norma Martino.
Oh.
In the middle is Sharon Anello. And then the lady who signaled us over to the table,
Yeah.
Rose Marie Muñiz.
She
Thank
was
you,
very
Stevie.
sweet.
Very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
They were all sweet. Thank
They
you,
were.
Stevie, for getting that picture ready
absolutely.
for us. Look at that. The place was packed.
It was fun.
There wasn't a seat available. And we had a good time.
We did have a good time.
All right. Okay. Okay. Take a breath, Mario, and get ready to start the show. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that know what we do here at the Tampa Native Show, everything we talk about each and every week is about our history. I think when you talk about community radio here in Tampa, you've got to talk first and foremost about 88.5 and the wonderful things that they've been doing there for the last 35 years now.
Wow.
Community radio is much like public access television. It's open to the general public. You know, I don't think that there's if you want to call yourself a progressive city in the sense, and I'm not talking about too political, but I'm just saying progressive in open-mindedness and conversation that is afforded to everybody, all sectors of the community and population, you got to think about things like public access TV and community radio. The 2 gentlemen you're about to meet will tell you that they weren't exclusive and they didn't have they didn't do this all on their own, but they're probably pulled the biggest amount of weight to get it all done. If you bring him up on the 5-shot, ladies and gentlemen, seated next to Steve Cannella right there is Mr. Cam Dilley. Cam, who's on the air every Friday morning from 6 to 9 o'clock. He'll be there tomorrow morning as well. And Cam, welcome to our show. Next to Cam is Mr. Rob Lorei. You hear Rob. Now look at him. And I say look at him because the truth of the matter is you hear them every day.
Yeah.
But until I got a chance to actually see Rob, I didn't know what he looked like. But I heard him every day. And the one thing that I can tell you about both of these guys is they're true professionals. Rob, when you moderate your show from 11 to 12 o'clock every day, and you do an amazing job of it, you know, you get some guys and some gals out there that can be au contraire, and you never get you never get ruffled, man.
No.
You're very, very cool.
We get
under
people
pressure.
who are celebrating happy hour at 11 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah, a little early.
Yes.
But you know, that's okay. That's okay. We like them.
You do an amazing job. You give, you know, you're never disrespectful. You give everybody a chance to state their case. And even though you might disagree with them, you know, you're always, well, at the end, you're very Rob Lorei like. You say, well, John, thank you for your opinion. And call us anytime. Click on to the next call. Very, very good.
Well, that's the way
strategy.
you do it too, right?
Well,
I mean, if people disagree with you.
Well, this show is kind of not, and I don't want to jinx it, but I'll say this to you on the air in front of our thousands and thousands of viewers. You know, we've been on the air for almost 4 years. And you know as well as I that community radio can be sometimes like public access television in that it invites conversation from everywhere.
You can never tell where it's going to come from.
And we do have, hello, Dory Burkelme is sitting right there on the other side of the big window, and she screens our calls for us. But we still don't know. Sometimes, you know, in 4 years, Rob, Cam, we've never had a crank call. We've never had somebody call in and say, hey, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty good testament to the fact that our show is so good and people just want to, you know, contribute in a good way.
I think it's a testament to the tone you guys set as great and gracious hosts.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you guys are
Thank you
really
for
great.
that, Cam.
you.
So,
Thank you.
listen, we've got some pictures, we've got a video to show, but why don't you two guys take your time, each of you in your turn, and tell us a little bit about those early days, how you guys got to meet. You've been friends for over 35 years. How this whole thing started with WMNF.
Well, who goes first? Me first?
Rob,
okay.
go ahead.
All right. But
You got here
correct
first.
me. Yeah.
I got to town a little before I did.
I came from Pennsylvania, and I graduated from college and had worked at the campus radio station where I went to school in Ohio at Antioch College. And came down here. I answered an ad in Mother Jones magazine.
Yeah.
And they said they were starting a radio station in Tampa. It's going to be on in the air in a few months. Come on down. It's 1978, the summer of 1978. I come down. Now I'm from Pennsylvania, and it is, you know, 80 at night, and you know, balmy, maybe 69 at night, and, you know, 80, 85 during the day. It's really not that. And then I come down and I immediately drive through a thunderstorm and don't know what I'm getting into.
Welcome to town.
I come to the radio station, which is just a house at 305 South Boulevard, and they take me on a tour. There's several staff people down here in the summer of 1978. They show me a bedroom and they say this is going to be the station manager's office. They show me another bedroom. There's a bed in it. And they say this is going to be the program director's office. And so we're walking through the whole building, and I realize there's nothing here. There's offices, but there's no studios. There's nothing. And it turns out that the job was to
no
go
electronic equipment whatsoever.
The job was to build it out.
The job was to build it out and go door to door. So Cam and I went door to door, along with about 10 other people, in the summer of 78 through the summer of 79. And we raised $25,000, which back then was real money.
Real money.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we met a lot of people. We probably met 100,000 people going door to door. And we
all over Tampa Bay. By the time I got here, Hillsborough County was just about done. They had already canvassed that. So I started in Pinellas. Yeah, I actually got arrested one night in Bel Air, Bel Air Shores or Bel Air Bluffs or something like that over there. A very exclusive community where they didn't like the look of these long-haired leaping gnomes in their neighborhood. In fact, I think soliciting was technically illegal. They had a city ordinance against soliciting. So I got picked up by a very nice police officer. He was a retired officer from New York. He said, you don't look that scary to me. These people don't know what crime is down here. I used to be a street cop in New York.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Come out, get out of the heat and humidity, and we'll sip a little coffee in my car until your compadres show up. So
Good
Found
stuff.
the right guy.
Interesting.
I first heard about the station. I got a call from a friend of a friend, actually, who was very good friends with Wade Rathke, who founded Acorn.
Okay.
which has been in the news a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
over the last few years. And we actually, Acorn had secured a grant from the Campaign for Human Development that the $25,000 Rob and I and all the other canvassers and volunteers who came to town to found the station, that grant was actually the seed money to start WMNF. Acorn started community radio in Tampa.
There you go. There you go.
But you know, the idea, Mario.
The much maligned Acorn, but let's leave
but back then it was doing good things.
Of course.
Falsely maligned, I would say.
Yeah, falsely maligned. But the idea for the radio station came from USF students, because back in 1974, there was a thing called Underground Railroad on WUSF.
Absolutely.
And it played the best rock,
Yeah.
alternative rock, underground rock.
Sort of pirate radio.
Pirate radio,
like
but it was on this huge station on the university campus. The students all paid their student activity fees, and that paid for the radio station. Well, the new president in 1975 at USF, came down from Michigan, and he said, we're going to do a fine arts radio station, and we're going to take off all the rock and roll.
So I never realized the
changed
guy
the
was
format.
from
Then it went to
Michigan, because I'd been doing college radio and public TV on the campus of Grand Valley State University, where I did college radio and TV, and that's how we got going as well. We were a student-run carrier current radio station that we took to FM that was also seized by the administration of Grand Valley State University and turned into Western Michigan Public Radio. So these ideas get started, and once it's kind of like the kids come in and do the dirty work, and then the administration steps in and takes them over.
Right.
We'll take it from here.
But in 1975, the students at USF here in Tampa were protesting on campus. So if you look back at the newspapers of the day, you'll see these big protests as people were really upset that their radio station was taken over by the new president.
Shanghai.
Rightfully
Shanghai,
so.
exactly. Yeah. So there was you talked about USF archiving the show. There was a professor named Manny Lukoff who was in the communications department down here at USF. And Manny said to a student named Arnie Schlansky, I'll give you credit if you can start your own radio station. So it was really Arnie's idea. And Arnie was here.
Arnie's still about?
Arnie's in New York now. He's making, rumor has it, he's making millions in real estate. He's a smart guy. But back then, he couldn't figure out how to raise money. So he turned it over to a friend of ours, Joe Fox, who worked for Acorn, and Joe said, we're going to go door to door to raise money. So Arnie kind of sat on the idea for 2 years, couldn't figure out how to raise the money, and so we went door to door and asked for donations, and that's how we did. And the donations were like $1, $5, $10.
We tried out of the top,
but
it wasn't.
We tried to get a $20 check. That was the goal, to get a $20 check. So if you got back to the car with $100 that night or anything close to it, that was basically our salary for the week.
One night I'm in Carrollwood, and it's hot because we went out every afternoon at 4 o'clock during the thunderstorms, right? And we stayed out till about 8 or till it got dark. One night I'm in Carrollwood, I'm having a really rough time, I'm hot, and this really tall guy with his girlfriend lets me into this nice house in Carrollwood and says, come on in, I'll give you a glass of water. I said, oh, this is good, at least I get some water out of it. He asked me to tell the story. I told him the story about MNF, why we're starting it, because there needs to be, there need to be reggae and bluegrass and R&B and blues and jazz and salsa and everything, the whole tapestry of music. It wasn't on the radio back then. A little bit of bluegrass was. So the guy says, I really like your story, here's $20, which was the biggest donation I got all week. And it turns out it was Doug Williams, who was a quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm going to get a bell ring on Dougie Williams, I'm going to tell you right now.
So Doug was one of the first contributors.
That's our first Dougie
And he had heart. He had, he understood.
He had a great heart, and I think that's why to this day, you mention his name anywhere around the area, man. People just, he got a raw deal here. They sent him off to Washington, and thank goodness he turned around, won the Super Bowl, and won the MVP.
What a great story.
And again, he got a little bit of a bum's rush now recently. We're getting a little off topic for a second, but at Grambling, he had a little bit of a bum's rush. But he landed on his feet. He's back in Washington again now, helping out. So
he's a great guy.
He's got a good spirit, and I think that always shone through. And look at that, man. You got that 20. And can we, before we go to our phone call, we got a phone call, but before we go to our phone callers, Becky, I'm going to ask you to pull up that picture of Cam that he sent in. And I'm going to tell you, Cam, I think I know why you got arrested that night. You don't have the picture? Well, you don't have the picture? What happened, Stevie?
No, not a picture. It's on the video.
Where's the picture?
Got some video.
Where's the still picture? I sent you the still picture. Please tell me you have it.
With the...
Please tell me you have it.
I don't think it made it here.
Oh, no.
Wow.
No, we got video.
You don't have the picture?
Well, the video's only
IT guy, you don't have the picture?
I don't remember.
IT guy.
I don't remember getting that.
IT guy.
Well,
okay, we're going to put the picture. Let me just share with you. The picture Show of hands to those of you at home, how many remember Frank Zappa? Okay?
There you go.
The picture is very reminiscent of Frank Zappa. Cam had hair down to his shoulders. He had the whole Fu Manchu thing going, the little thing underneath here. Look at either Frank Zappa or one of the Charles Manson gang. I understand why he was turned away.
And the earring.
Everybody looked like that.
And an earring. And I'm so
Yeah,
sorry
that
we
was
don't
the
have
look
the
back
picture.
then,
But
yeah.
Well, we
it
got
will be
video.
up on
You
our
can
website.
kinda-
We'll
you'll get
put
the
that up on our
idea from the
Facebook
video.
page for you to be able to check on.
They'll see it on the video anyway, so.
Yeah, no, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So you guys were there. You were safe to say you were the headwaters. You were the first push, the first wave of momentum to kind of get the ball going.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say, I mean, going door to door was really a great introduction to the people of Tampa Bay for us. We got to really know
Grassroots,
people.
I mean, organic.
You rang a doorbell and met somebody that, you know, I think there's not a month or two that goes by that we don't run into somebody that says, you know, you rang my doorbell in 1978,
Cool.
Wow.
and I wrote you guys
That's
a check.
extremely
Were they
Cool.
mostly
Back
good
then.
people that
Absolutely.
opened the door and
We got everybody, though. I mean, there were young people, old people, college professors, police officers, single moms. Everybody opened the door, except every once in a while we'd come across somebody who said, "Nah, don't open the door at night," or whatever.
Right.
Sure.
I remember one time I was canvassing Saturday afternoon, and I think at Gainesville, this was in the fall, Gainesville was playing Tallahassee, and the guy whose door I knocked on said, "I can't talk to you now, but come back when the game is over."
The game's over, yeah, because the Gators are on.
Right, the
that would
Gators
be
are-
my
yeah.
husband.
No. But the truth be told, that at 78, we still had that sense of community that was,
Yeah.
you know, and we didn't have all the stuff that today.
It'd be different now.
I think people
Well,
were
I
less.
the
I
media has
wouldn't
scared
wanna
us
do
so
it
much that
today.
when somebody
People
knocks
are
on
less were less suspicious.
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
They were more
yeah,
willing
most
to open
people
their
would
door.
open the
People were
door.
respectful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
would.
were.
Yeah, they'll
They're
hear your
not
story.
now.
What
We
you got,
would get
fella? Yeah,
invited.
fella, come on,
Yeah.
let's talk about it.
Right.
Now we have to do it.
There's a
almost
lot
anonymously
of
on-
mistrust out there.
Yeah, and we have to do it almost anonymously online, you know, crowdfunding and be creative.
Pretty much.
And the fundraising drives that you guys have at the studio because,
That's right.
you know, people aren't as receptive when you go to, you know, when we grew up, we say this on the show all the time, when we grew up, a 4-foot chain link fence was good enough for us, man, because, you know, basically it kept your dog in the yard,
Right.
but you still saw across the fence and your friend who was in the next door neighbor,
Yep.
you know, who was your next door neighbor, and you were in the backyard holding the clothespin bag for your mom. Guess what he was doing? Holding the clothespin bag for his mom. But you had a sense of community. You could see through that fence.
I was glad those fences were only 4 foot tall because every once in a while you had to jump over
You had
one
to
to
get over to
away
get
from
out.
the dog.
Yeah, to get
and
out.
it came out flying out of the door.
Done that before. Yeah.
We carried a clipboard with us that we'd put our checks in so people could see that others in the neighborhood were donating. And one time I remember I rang a doorbell and the door opened and this little dog literally came flying through the air at me at about eye height. And I stuck that clipboard up and it clamped its teeth on the clipboard and he just locked down and I just lowered him down. His owner took him off the clipboard
And away you went.
So I got to say, Cam was one of the best salespeople too. Cam was one of the best.
Excellent.
So you know, he was one of the top people. I was not a natural salesperson on the door. I mean, when I went up to the door,
Some
I was.
people aren't.
You know, it was really hard
It's a
work.
daunting
Yeah,
task.
it's
It's a
very
daunting task to
because you-
ask for money.
Yeah, yeah.
you get
And
a lot of no's. You got to be willing
Of
to
course.
accept a
Right.
lot of rejection.
Yeah.
And some of us, show of hands, not real good at the nose. You know, it's an acquired skill. You
Yeah,
gotta
you
have
take
thick
it
skin.
personally
Oh,
after
yeah,
a while.
we cried.
Yeah, you kind of do.
You can take one or two, but after
Right.
after 4 or 5, then it begins
Yeah,
to
then you
take
start
a
to
toll.
check your deodorant and your hair's. Well, listen, we've got a caller that's been waiting for a few minutes to talk to us. Can we take that call
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick? guys?
Absolutely.
All right, and then we'll continue our
But
conversation.
could be our
We've got-
first crank call.
No, because we always get the little heads up who it is. So this is one of our favorite callers. Caller, you're on the air with the Tampa Natives Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Jim Carney calling from Tampa, Florida.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Good to hear from
Hello,
you.
Jim.
What I want to do is pull together the themes of politics and music at MNF.
Okay.
Your two guests, I have met Rob, and that'll come up, but he gave me a segue because in the 70s, I used to listen to the Underground Railroad.
There you go.
And I remember one night, this band played this very spooky cover version of this song called Sympathy for the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew my mind.
There you go.
And then Lola by the Kinks was played straight through, unedited. And I go like, whoa, what just happened there? Let me listen to that again. Now, I want to segue into the 80s. Where I saw Rob was at there actually were peace rallies for the Afghanistan war. Forget Iraq. We knew the government was selling us a bill of goods, and Rob has already mentioned this. It turned out the new news was the War and Peace Report, but the music. Steve Earle wrote a song called the John Walker Lind Blues. This is the mid-'80s. Now, and this is the question, and then a follow-up to you open this up for the general topic of music and politics at MNF.
Okay.
MNF was the alternative to what everybody else was saying. It was open. Somehow, Rob transitioning to doing the moderation of Washington this week, but Florida this week, I don't understand how he does it. So he is on TV.
Well trained, my brother, well trained. It's a professional right here now.
But John Walker Lind Blues, nobody played that. People knew it existed, and then all of a sudden, WMNF, and nobody donated any money. Well, if I'd had any money, I would have, but it didn't earn you a lot of money. It earned you a lot of heat.
Yeah. Yes.
And, okay, gentlemen.
Give us that question. Did you have a question in there?
Yes.
Okay.
The question is, how did that song get on MNF, and MNF decide, we're going to take the heat for playing this song, which was sympathetic to an American Al-Qaeda member who, like Snowden, the State Department, and the president and the vice president especially wanted to fry.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. We got, and your Bolita number for the nice drawing?
39.
39 it is. Paco Malo, thank you as always, my brother. You thought provocative guy, you.
Very nice,
we appreciate
Jim.
you. And listen, we'll get them to address your questions right now. Thank you.
You know, I think it's fair to say that song by Steve Earle's a peacenik. You know, he doesn't, and he's not in favor of terrorism or violence. So I think he was talking about the confusion of this young American from the West Coast, I think he was from California, who joined the Al Qaeda, but the kid was confused, and I think that was the point of that song. But what Steve Earle was saying is, don't persecute him. This is a kid.
Right.
You know, that's what Steve Earle was saying.
Right.
And you know, we have a history, I think, of playing peace songs. I mean, we played anti-war songs. We had the whole thing with Nicaragua and Central America. You guys remember that. And there were people on both sides of that here in Tampa. We got death threats when we played music by Victor Jara, who was the Chilean guy who was killed. He was a folk singer who was killed in 1971, I believe, in the Chilean stadium. When we played a song by him in 1980, we got death threats because that was the tenor here in Tampa. You couldn't play songs by peace activists or people who were left-wing. We still do that today. We're proud of it because that's our mission. Our mission is to talk about peace and social justice. We don't shy away from it. And it turns out, you know, when we put on the people who were against the war in Iraq, the invasion that happened 11 years ago, we were right.
Yeah.
We were right, and everybody else was scared. You know, here in this town, there were events. Susan Sarandon was supposed to come and speak in Tampa. Because she spoke out in 2002 against the war in Iraq, they canceled the event. But we spoke out about it. We were proud to do it. We take death threats all the time, but it's okay because this is our mission. Peace and social justice is our mission.
Yep. I speak for the team when I say we need you on that wall, Rob.
We do.
We need you on that wall, Cam. And without that...
It's our job to take that kind of heat. You know, I think Rob and I both had those calls come into our homes, and it is scary when somebody calls up and threatens to kill you. I had a ball bearing shot through the front of my house one night shortly after going on a local radio station to voice my opinion against our support of the Contras and the war in Central America, El Salvador and Nicaragua. But, you know, it's always been WMNF. That's what we're there for. We're a forum for a spectrum of voices that can't be heard otherwise. They can't get onto corporate media. They can't get onto commercial radio or television. And that's what you guys are about. That's what we're about. I think that's why you know we're brothers and sisters in that same cause.
We are. We're in the same van. It's a cool van.
We are.
It's a very cool van.
We're opening,
it's a hippie van.
We're opening up the airwaves to people that might be squeezed out. But Paco mentioned, you know, how do I do it at Channel 3? You know, what I do is I respect everybody's opinion, and I think there has to be a healthy debate.
And he bites his tongue a lot.
I do. I disagree with some of the things on Channel 3, but you know, I think the thing is that there's got to be an honest debate. And a lot of times when you watch cable TV, the debate is only one-sided.
Oh, yes.
And I'm so proud that Channel 3 and it lacks civility. And so what we're trying to do at Channel 3 is let's have a real honest debate. That's why I give everybody a chance, and I don't interrupt, as you know.
Yep. And I think it's probably...
You're a master of that.
I could learn from you a thing or two on that, Rob, but I don't have...
You're polite.
I'm polite, but we don't have to necessarily arbitrate debate here. But I get so excited sometimes because if somebody's telling a story that I relate to or that hits a nerve, I want to jump in because I've got something to contribute to. So I've got to kind of hold myself back and say, okay, wait till they finish, Mario, wait till they finish. And then I add in, but the stories, we have just tapped the wellspring. We have just tapped the wellspring. I mean, people, they want to share their stories. You know, that was the initial tagline when we created the show. You know, the Tampa Natives Show. We're sharing your memories. Has never been this much fun. And what we're finding out the further we walk down the path is that people just want to remember. Sure. Because Tampa back then was very colloquial. I mean, it was an extended family.
It was wonderful.
Right. There was a group of immigrants that settled Ybor City and put the cigar industry on the map, from whence they came: Sicily, Asturias region of Spain, and Cuba, primarily.
Right.
And there were other factions from Romania, New Orleans. The Jewish community was here. The German community was here. The indigenous African Americans, and of course the Florida Crackers. They were all here, and they all made it work. But the driving engine behind that was a cigar industry, and who made that cigar industry go were the cigar rollers and the owners. Well,
and you know, there was a tremendous labor movement here, and I think that the reason why we see so many sons and daughters of cigar rollers and grandsons and daughters of cigar rollers in politics, in medicine, in law, was because in those days, in 1900, 1910, 1920, we developed a middle class based on the labor movement here in the city of Tampa. And all those communities came together. You talked about those communities. If you look at the pictures of the cigar rollers, there's men, there's women, there's Afro-Cubans. Everybody's in the room together. Yeah. They're all working together. And they're listening to the lector, and you know, the bosses didn't like it. And so if you were a union organizer or if you were a lector, you could be very controversial, as you know, Mario, in this community. And
or stretched at the end of a rope.
Exactly.
That could happen too.
They ran people out of town. They tarred and feathered people. Some labor organizers were killed because they were trying to organize labor. But I think out of that labor scene in Ybor City, we now have a stronger middle class. And it elevated people of color, and it elevated the Latin community in a way that no other Southern community, I think, has been elevated.
And to your point, let me just take it, and we've got a caller waiting. Take it to the next natural progression. I say this all the time, darling, stay with me. Okay. You haven't heard it yet, so I'm going to give it to both of you. Stevie, you've heard it too. When we grew up here in Tampa, to your point, either you knew somebody's cousin, you were somebody's cousin, and you had to be careful who you were kissing on because they might just be your cousin. I mean, there were you know what I mean? There was a core group, and I say we, the indigenous grandsons and great-grandchildren of those original settlers, we populated Tampa because Tampa was a flyover or a stopover on the way to Miami, Key West. It really wasn't a destination yet. So from 1890 to 1970, you know, the Gonzalez's married the Martinezes, and the Ferlitas married the Cutros. So they kind of, you know, cousins became cousins. The family tree, the tree just went this way, but we all knew everybody. If you went to Mark Twain's on a Friday night, you knew everybody in there. Oh, that's the Chamberlain group. That's the group that goes to Plant. That's the group from, you know what I mean? Yeah. Family. We squabbled like families would. But one thing we all had in common was that ancestry, and it's a strong bond. Right. That's great. And WMNF, I know, Rob, you were a little bit reluctant to come on the show when we talked one time on the radio because you said, well, Mario, you know, I'm not from Tampa. And I quickly rebutted and I said, yeah, Rob, you're not. But the radio station you co-founded and you had a great deal to do with is a Tampa native. And now hearing you talk about us, brother, I'm not so sure that you haven't got enough of us in you now that you qualify.
You know, I'm hanging out with people like Gary Mormino, people like that know the true history, read their books, you know, Tony Piso, people like that.
Right.
So.
And Andy Hughes is another one.
Andy.
He's not from here either.
Up and coming,
He's great. He's great. Joe Howden is another buddy of mine,
down
of ours, from Ybor City. And Joe Howden is a Bradenton, Sarasota guy. But he got here as soon as he could, man, and he's found our history so rich and so palatable and wonderful that he's now studying it too.
I think Rob and I like to think we may not be from Tampa, but we are of Tampa now. And I think we both found, I went to California for a couple of years, San Francisco, trying to break into public radio and TV out there. I'll tell you what, when I got to Tampa, I made more friends here in 2 months that I'm still close to
it's a good
than
community.
I did in 2 years in San Francisco.
It's a wonderful,
it's a welcoming,
open.
Yeah, it really
there
is
it was like competitive, here it was collegial and welcoming, and there was just a hospitality and an openness to, people just assume that you must know somebody that they're a cousin with.
Right. There you go.
You're a cousin whether you are or not.
A connection.
Right.
Really.
That's the essence of what Phil wrote about.
Right.
And in this article, and that's really encapsulates what we try to do here each and every week on the show, and I think it comes through really, really strong. I'm going to take this caller now, but I want to tell you, Cam, and I've never told you this before, another cool thing about Cam Dilley, your sister-in-law is Jennifer Granholm.
That's right.
Can we get out of here for a minute? That is so cool. I love that woman. I mean, her politics, she's a sharp-looking lady. She's always, she's right there on the edge.
Well, my wife, to explain the connection.
Yeah, explain the connection. Listen.
My wife, Mary Mulhern, who's on city council here in Tampa.
Right.
Her brother,
Dan,
his first man, Dan, or at least was when Jennifer was governor of Michigan. So Mary's brother is married to the former
by
governor
family, you're
of
kind
Michigan,
of,
Jennifer
you break bread with this woman, and you're hanging.
Right.
We saw a family picture when Mary was on the show with us. Right. She had a family picture with the reunions up north, and she was in the picture, and I said, wait a minute, what's that lady? That's Jennifer Granholm. What is she doing in that picture? That's my sister-in-law. I said, excuse me? How cool is that?
That is cool.
All right, let's take our caller. Caller, thank you so much for your patience. You're on the air with the Tampa Natives Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, this is Richard Medulla, and I'm calling from Tampa.
Richard Medulla. Now, I know the name. Is this the first?
This is Richard.
Honey, yes, it's our Richard.
Excuse
It's our
me,
Richard.
Richard.
Richard is. I'm setting something up. Richard, is this your first time calling?
Yes, it is.
There we go. No, Richard, we know who
Hi,
you are.
Richard.
Of course we do. Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, listen, I heard you asking for some information about Pepe Lubabo.
Oh, there it is.
Good.
See how our fans
That's
show
a bell
up for
ring
us?
right there.
And another bell ring for Pepe Lubabo.
Yeah, I made some inquiries.
Thank you.
Great.
And I talked to some people who actually knew this character.
There you go.
And he was, if he were alive today, he would be over 100 years old.
Okay. Okay.
He is of that age group, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a character that was somewhat mentally challenged.
Okay.
Oh.
And wandered around Ybor City, a very friendly character who walked around, went into the shops, went into the stores, often carried a pad of paper with him, and thought he was taking Bolita numbers.
Oh.
There it is, man. What
And I bet
great
everybody
story.
loved him, too. I bet he was a
Yes,
well-loved
and he would
guy.
scribble numbers down, and often didn't even write a number, but really felt like he was doing business.
That's amazing.
So that's, and in Italian,
remember?
Babu means either, dumb, stupid.
Right. Bobo. Bobo in Spanish, Babu in Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobo.
Somewhat challenged.
Right.
That was a nickname he got, and it's
Sure.
sort of an urban legend. But I actually have somebody looking into talking to people who knew him personally, and we're going to try to find out what his real name was.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Richard, for that. I appreciate it. Listen, if we don't see you at King Corona, you call us back on the show and give us that information. But I'm sure we'll run into you there at the King. But if we could kind of put the story together, and I can take it back to the ladies at El Centro next month. You're going to make me more of a celebrity than I was yesterday.
They already love him.
There were 15 women that came up to me and said, oye, mijo, do you know Pepe Lubabo? And I looked at them because I didn't really know. I thought they were kind of jazzing me like I was Pepe Lubabo. I didn't know what this was. But hearing you tell the story, it reminds me of the movie with Cuba Gooding Jr., where he played a African-American mentally challenged kid named Radio. They nicknamed him Radio. And the name of the movie was Radio.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing, I get chills thinking about it. It was an amazingly heart-warming story about a high school football coach who took this mentally challenged kid and he brought him into his family, and it was a true story. But kind of sounds like that's what Pepe Lubabo was.
I bet people looked after him.
Actually, my father-in-law told me that even though this guy was mentally challenged, he took care of his aging mother.
What a great story. What a great story.
We're going to try to get more
Thank you, Richard. Please do, and follow up with us because That's really urban legend or not. That's a great Tampa native story.
You made our day today, Richard.
Well,
thank you.
The only thing is, I don't know how I can make you more of a hero.
You're going to make me ring that bell again.
Stop. He's hard enough to live with already.
All right, Richard. Listen, let's get your bolita number because we only got 2 numbers, but you got a 50-50 chance.
Let me.
1 to 75 because we don't have 100 balls here. We have 75 like the bingo game I played yesterday.
27.
27 it is. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate your call.
Good to hear from you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That's great.
See,
That's great.
we put out the
Good
call
stuff.
to our
That's right.
fans, and they
That's right.
respond in kind.
That's
Hey, we
amazing.
better get to the video. Now, listen, we just sat down. We're just
know, I
warmed
have
our
to-
seats. Do you have something to say?
I have to tell you that it's 15 minutes left of the show.
And now you know
and
why-
I need to wish a happy birthday to
Miss Yvette Ochoa.
Yvette Ochoa.
And is there another announcement that you needed to
I
make?
just wanted to say that we went and had our teeth cleaned with our favorite dentist today, Dr. William Geyer.
Yes.
And he told me a little story that he recently went and filmed a little segment for
Busch Gardens?
Yes, for Wild Animal Docs, where he did a root canal on an otter.
How cool
So
is that?
he's going to be kind of a star himself.
We're going to get him on the show as well.
That's
And you know, Dr. Geyer's class of 74, and he's a Tampa native, deep roots in Tampa, 3rd generation if I'm not mistaken, and a graduate of Hillsborough High School, class of 74. And he told Sally the story today.
And his mother was my teacher.
And his mother was your science teacher, right?
And he told
Marine
me
biology, yeah.
Marine
that I
biology.
have
There it
stellar
is.
teeth
You see how we're all connected, Rob.
It's terrific.
They say 6 degrees of separation. We say more like 1. I'll stop at the water's edge. It's not incestuous. It's not incestuous, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's better
Isn't that
than
great?
6.
Isn't that great? No, and then we're there today at the dentist's office, and a lady comes walking out of the dentist's office in a frazzle because she's got to get home because it's late because she had a catastrophe with a water pipe that blew up in her home, and she's got to get home. And it's the late, great Rick Caceres' wife, Polly Caceres, who we just saw a few months ago when we dedicated. You see what I mean? You can't really go any place here in the city
Without seeing somebody.
that you know well,
Yeah.
that you know intimately.
Yeah.
So it's very, very good. Thank you, Richard, for that call. Listen, we need to get to pictures,
video.
brother. Call for the
Yes,
video.
video.
Let's do the video, because that video's classic.
That's amazing.
This is Walter
Walter
Cronkite. Okay, let's
play that.
let's do that video. Enjoy this. This is early Rob and early Cam.
Good evening. My name is Walter Cronkite, and I'm here on the set of CBS News in New York at 42nd Street. This is the 57th episode of our series on crime called, appropriately enough, Crime Watch. This is a series of 60 programs which we've been producing over the past 25 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here this evening in the WMNF Pioneer Radio studios to bring you an exclusive Meet the Press edition with representatives from the Last Laugh Power and Light Company of the Southeastern Power and Light Conglomerate. Mr. R.C. Hackley is here to answer questions from members of the press regarding the recent nuclear radiation leaks from the howdy-doody South Florida Power and Light facility located just in everyone's backyard, right here in the neighborhood. So, Mr.
Hackley. The plant is with us tonight as well and shows evident signs of overexposure to nuclear radiation and has drastically altered his physical appearance. As a matter of fact, we have him here for an exclusive on-camera interview, and I believe he would be interested in asking you a few questions himself.
Good stuff, great stuff, great stuff, huh? What a head of hair you had, my brother.
No wonder I had trouble
raising
money door to door.
I would have opened my door.
Would you open your door to that guy?
Absolutely.
So you were having fun there, and that was that at somebody's home?
That was
that
a party. That was
okay.
Ed Costco, who ran a pirate radio station in the USF area of Tampa in 1975. You know, as the students were kind of rebelling against what was happening on campus, pirate radio stations sprang up. And Ed worked on guided missiles over in Pinellas County, one of the big defense contractors, and he was our first engineer. Yeah. So he was an early adopter. He had a video camera in 1978 when we were all having a party, and we just taped ourselves.
Here we go.
That's what that was, a party in '78.
A little J&B scotch and a little camera.
The other character portraying a reporter there was Ed Miller, who was another guy who came down from Ohio, as did Rob, to help start the station. He was going to be our development director, and he did a morning show in the early days on the station. He's still in town. He's working for Collier's
He's the only one that looks the same.
Yeah,
Wow.
he does.
Yeah, he looks good.
You guys
He
still
looks
look
good.
You guys look good too. Hey, listen, we've got about 10 minutes to go. We've got a caller on line 5. We better get to our caller on line 5. And if you want to get in on this conversation, which is rapidly coming to a close, 813-977-6800. This is the fastest hour in cable broadcasting history. I think that's coming into fruition tonight. We may have to have these two guys back again, man, because we're just scratching the
We
surface.
didn't hardly get anything.
Here we go. We didn't. We just got to say hello.
We're
We
just
sat down.
starting to have fun.
We just sat down. Caller, thanks for your patience. You're on the air with the Tampa Natives Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Jim, your buddy Hooper,
All right.
calling from Drew Park tonight.
Hey,
Hi,
Jim, what's
Jim.
going on?
How you guys doing? I haven't seen the show, but I know it's been a great one with your guests from WMNF.
Absolutely.
And some scintillating questions. Just curious, and you may have covered this, so I apologize. How can you volunteer to get a show slot? I used to do some radio back in my younger days.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, quick question for you, because we're going to get your Bolita number. We're going to let you go, and we'll answer that question for you. Do you have any experience working the boards? Yeah, or
working boards, but a little retraining in the new generation of board would be very very helpful. But I've done radio back in the day when
Excellent.
I'm good around a computer, computer and boards, and I'm a fast
learner. Contact our office. That's 813-920-2508. We've got a position for you available, Jim. And I got your Bolita number. Is it 58? It never changes.
It's 58.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
For me on the comment line, I'll be sure to call.
Thanks for calling. That's my good buddy, Jim Hooper. And see, our fans are so loyal to us, and they're really consistent, I guess you'd say. We know their Bolita numbers before they actually give them to us. We do a thing here at the end of the show.
Oh, so do we get to play?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
good. All right.
You get to play and you get to pick too.
Okay,
what we
good.
typically do is, for instance, we have here on the table a bottle of Joe & Sons olive oil. This is 4th generation business here in Tampa, right there on Beta Bay between Himes and McDill. And so we give away a bottle of Joe & Sons olive oil each week. We also give away a pound of Caracolillo coffee. We let our guests draw. We're coming to the time where we're about to do that Bolita drawing. So if you want to get in on it, we've got 3 people in.
Yes.
The odds are real good that somebody's going to win something tonight. So lines are open. Call us 813-977-6800. How many minutes back? 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes.
Well, we have some photos. Can we run through them?
Please, let's run through them. Kind of keep the commentary brief so we can get through all of them, but let's definitely do.
Becky, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, just run through them, Beck, every 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Well, there's our 88.5 bumper sticker that's on all of our cars. Radioactive. We love that phrasing.
Yeah.
Next, there it is. Oh, this is the nice little sign. Was this out?
That was a T-shirt. It was designed by the guy in St. Pete.
David Bly?
No, not David Bly. On 9th Street.
Yeah, colorful. Yep, I know.
Very retro.
But that was
cool.
that was based on a little bit on our old building and also on the hotels in Pinellas
Sure.
County.
Very cool.
You know.
On the beach.
Very, very retro, very 1950s. Hey, let's go to the next one. There it is. What's this one about? What are we talking about here? Won't change its tune.
This is when we got a new manager, maybe in the 1990s, early 1990s, and we had hired a manager from Texas, and I think there was a lot of scuttlebutt about whether or not we were going to change a whole lot. And the article says, no, we're not going to change.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, we always change a little bit.
We love you just the way you are, right?
Okay.
You and Cam don't change.
This shot's of the, I think that's Rob on the left there, maybe. And then that's the original building at 305 South Howard, where there's now
South Boulevard.
South Boulevard, sorry. We used to joke that if the cockroaches and the termites ever stopped holding hands, the place would fall down.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, that building burned down maybe 15 or 20 years ago. Now there's a MedRev lawyer's office there, big-time attorneys there. But if that house were still there, it would be worth probably $1.5 million. It was
like
more
a
than
nice
3,000 square feet.
It had issues.
Yeah, but all those houses.
The original record library when I got to town was in a bathtub. We had 7
in
records
a
bathtub. That was the record library.
And for people that don't know, that haven't had the opportunity, you don't have to bring me in on the camera, just leave it on that picture. I just want to say real quick, if you haven't had the opportunity to take a tour of WMNF Studios, they've been in their new home now for a little bit. How long have you been there now, Rob? 5?
Since 2005.
There you go. Oh, since 2005, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, how time is going so fast. Because when you were building that, it was
beautiful new $3 million
it's
facility
unbelievable.
Yeah,
the
it's
library
really
is beautiful.
Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Compared to that old house, you can imagine how far we've come. We're moving to our 3rd building here, and we carry one of our antennas down from where the cash and carrier, the Sweet Bay is at Martin Luther King in Nebraska. That was where we used to be. They tore down that building, so about 3 blocks to the east, we moved. And this is in 1989. We couldn't afford to hire an antenna company, so we carried one of our antennas by ourselves. Like about 30 or 40 people are walking down the street. You should have seen it that day. It was great.
Crowdsourcing before crowdsourcing.
Of course. Now, nobody was rolling video on that. Oh, my goodness.
That's great.
Linda
Who's
Reisinger.
that lovely lady?
Linda Reisinger, who now helps produce every year Tropical Heat Wave, which will be coming
right up. And we need to plug that,
in
too.
May 9th and 10th.
May 9th and 10th.
And that photo was by Bud Lee, the famous photographer from Tampa.
Sure.
Yeah. This is a couple of reggae concerts that we did, Reggae Sunsplash with the Gladiators and
Cheryl Mogul, a longtime reggae
in the center, Twyla Huda at the bottom.
Yep.
And is that KZ on top? I think that's
Maybe
KZ, who's still around, who still does the Caribbean cruise.
And that's Cam Dilley's business card, so a little plug for Cam Dilley.
I guess my success going door to door led to my marketing career.
Bring us back into the 5 shot. Listen, guys, we've got about 2 minutes to go. I can't tell you how fast this hour has gone because you sat here and experienced it with us. We really didn't we didn't drill down nearly as deep as I wanted to go. Will you guys think about maybe coming back at some point in time?
You promise not to use
and you can come back independently.
If you promise we win the Bolita.
Well, you can come back independently, but we'd love to have you as a team as well. Either way, our door is always open. We need to hear more from you. And, I'm always going through the doors over there at WMNF because I'm either helping Ray do his show or I'm on with, I love being over there with you guys. It's a great place to be.
It's an honor to be here.
Let them draw. Get your hand out of there.
Cam, you do the honors.
Closest two without going over for a bottle.
We get to pick a number before, or we just pull the number out?
Yes.
Three to go.
Here we go.
Okay. There it is.
Pick a winner. The lucky winner.
72.
Oh my gosh.
So 58.
That would be Jim Hooper.
Jim Hooper. Hoop, get on over there to Joe and Sons Olive Oils, man. You won yourself a bottle of olive oil or infused balsamic vinegar. Well, Rob, Cam, thank you. All I can say is thank you, man. I'm so sorry that we've got about 30 seconds to go. This is unbelievable.
Well, we appreciate you guys. I think what bonds us is that people, and what builds audience for both of us is that people are looking for authenticity in their lives and in this community, and they can find it here on the Tampa Natives Show, and they can find it at 88.5.
Absolutely.
Have mercy.
Mario, thanks. Sally, Steve, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Glasses up, everybody.
Yeah.
Listen, on behalf of the crew that puts this show together each and every week, I want to say thank you to the crew especially. To our guests, Rob, Lorei, and Cam Dilley. On behalf of Tampa Steve and the 15-Minute Girl, I'm Mario Nunez. Salud and happy days. We love you, Tampa.
Yes, we do.
See you next week.
Peace out.
Back when we were younger and everything seemed new, we used to have a lot of fun. Yes, we did. No matter what we do. Sleepy days, long summer nights, going anywhere we please, with love that I could call my own, love that I've always known, the city that I call my home, a home from which I never roam. This love affair was meant to be. I love her and she loves me. I remember Tampa, oh, she remembers me. She remembers me. I remember, yeah, yes I do. Oh, I remember, yeah, me and you. I'm a Tampa native, Tampa native, can't you see? I will share my story with you to preserve its history.
All right now, don't forget, Thursdays, 7 p.m. on TBCN, home of the Tampa Natives Show.